have gotten the question in the past, why do I turn the music and game sounds off? If you play this game, yes, it has good music. No, it's not good for sleep. Every time you beat a level, there's this loud, rambunctious celebration that you cannot mute or turn off or stop. And it's like, it's this loud fanfare and the two, Kongs dance and, hoop and holler, and it's just a bunch of noise like you saw there on the screen. And yeah, 3 a.m, all of a sudden you hear a bunch of fanfare and horns and stuff. I don't think that's very good. Or you hear like what sounds like cannon barrels, make you think of gunshots. No, it's just, game audio is great, but not good for sleep. Pretty much. I hope that's okay. I'm the same way with all the videos. I cover games that are not super relaxing, but I do enjoy, covering them. So all of them have just rain sound in my voice because it gives you a stable, easy to follow and listen to background where there is no sudden spikes in audio, no screaming, no freak out, no anything that could possibly disturb your sleep or relaxation. The only thing that disturbs the rain is me, and I try to keep my stuff to a minimum. Basically, if I get irritated in a game, I'll usually rather mute my mic or push the mic away so I can focus on that spot. And I don't try to, I try to basically keep out any type of loud noise because I do play difficult games sometimes. So that was the naughty boss fight for World 1, Congo Jungle. Now we're moving to Monkey Mines and Winky's Walkway. Probably one of your most nostalgic memories is getting the frog here. And yeah, well, they just bypass the frog because the frog is slow. But honestly, I would like to know in the comments if your favorite game was out of the series was Donkey Kong 1, 2, or 3, because that'd be an interesting topic, really. Donkey Kong 1, I do appreciate a lot, and I love DKC 2. I think it's one of the greatest games of all time, but for some reason, I always had a soft spot for DKC 1 as well, where it's not as advanced or fancy as DKC 2, but it's just got a charm to it. And I just like the way the graphics look, and it's a very cozy, easy playthrough, where it's very stress-free. Donkey Kong Country 3 goes for a lot more, 2 goes for a lot more spectacle, not spectral. This isn't Soul Reaver. A lot more spectacle, and then Donkey Kong Country 3 just freaks out and just throws everything it can at the wall, and like every level has to be a gimmick, and a lot of the gimmicks are bad, but they throw it all at these fancy gimmicks, but they didn't bother to make the worlds very, very different, really. Just kind of generic, with the actual world designs. But that's what I think was the downfall of DKC 3 was, well, Kiddy Kong, plus it being just too gimmicky and not diverse enough on world types, really. I think the biggest thing is Kiddy Kong, let's be real. He's loud, annoying, and every time you lose a life with Kiddy Kong, he screams like a banshee, and it's just really loud and annoying. And I think it's almost like Nintendo loves to put in their nuisance characters, if you think about it. Look at perfect example, Navi from friggin' Zelda, like Ocarina of Time. Everybody can't stand her. Or Kiddy Kong in Donkey Kong Country 3, he's annoying. Or what's another one? I don't think there's another. Oh, Baby Mario and Yoshi's Island is just, oh god, I literally hate that. I hate that mechanic so much that I got a ROM hack just to get rid of, to make him shut up when I get hit. Like legit. There's a ROM hack to shut that baby up. It's kind of funny. But I don't know why Nintendo likes doing stuff like that, like having annoying, loud, screeching, nails on a chalkboard characters like that. Now they're setting up a trick to basically skip the level, more or less. And I believe they're going to come back for some bonuses, probably. No? No, they're going back, yeah. Millstone Mayhem, right. There's one right there. Now, I'm not playing anything in this particular video, so please go to the description. Follow the runners that I will be featuring on here. Their name will obviously be on the screen, as they are with all of these videos, to give them full credit for the footage. Also, subscribe to their channel, like their videos, join their stream chat, show them love, give them appreciation. They're the ones that sit here and grind day after day to get that world record. It's not easy, and they grind for hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours, to get these world record runs that we watch now. So, it's a lot harder than it looks. And he's doing a glitch right there. They're doing a glitch right there. I said Ladybird. She's doing a glitch right there to essentially break into world 3, I think. Yeah, 3. It's like a little warp thing. I don't know why they exactly do that in this category, but sure. Maybe there's a glitch or something coming up. I think there might be a glitch coming up where they're going to try to do something or another to, yeah, that's what it looks like we're going to be seeing, is some type of glitch set up. I think it's something to do with that ostrich carrying a metal barrel. I can't remember. In the original Donkey Kong Country, the secrets were a lot more basic, more or less. So they'll give you like an extra, extra life or little tiny mini game or, stuff like that. But it wasn't like you had collectible tokens that you needed to gain to new levels. I mean, obviously you got the Animal Buddy bonus games, but I'm talking about actual levels where he plays Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. Now they're going to go back and do the other levels because they have to. It's 101%. So I don't know why they skipped ahead like that, but they're setting up some type of trick, I'm sure, that is going to be incredibly impressive and going to do something, because it seems a little bit of a waste of time to, ignore that second boss fight and skip to this world and then skip like the first 3 levels. But I'm sure that there's some type of rhyme to their, there's some reason for this. We'll see it. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. Bumblebee Rumble, I like that name. That's King Zing Sting right there, I believe. Well, that's what he was called in Donkey Kong Country 2. Oh, I missed it because I got a notification on my phone. I was checking to see if it was the kills King Zing Sting. Wait, what? Then it boots him back to. Okay, that's weird. I don't understand why they would do it like that. I guess No idea. That was smooth. So what they're doing there is basically they'll beat the level and then they'll get into like a bonus and then they'll immediately exit the level, but the bonus still counts. That's what they're doing when you see that. Because you can exit any level that you've already beat with start select, which I believe is also a thing in Mario World. I don't think you can do that in Mario 3 at all, though. I don't think you can repeat levels in Mario 3. Pretty sure you can't. I don't know if there's much reason you would want to, but I just don't think you can. Alright, Forest Frenzy. I was wrong as 4 levels. Well, 3 levels. Yeah, 3 levels that he skipped. Because then the next one, you know, the orangutan one with like the, you know, the day to night thing is setting something up. Oh. Oh. Hey. Oh. One of those sort of little cartwheel, infinite cartwheel things. Gotta love it. Gotta love those. And that level was long, wasn't it? Oh my god. That's a little scary. I wonder if you gotta do the mini games to get 100%. The little animal buddy games. The bonuses. Are you not? Do you not have to beat all the bosses? Because he didn't beat. Well, she did. Lady Bird. Lady Bird. It's a girl. She didn't beat. I can't hear her voice anyway, but I'm just gonna assume. I'm gonna assume female because Give me a second. Usually they might have the pronouns on the thing. Hold on. Okay. I was wrong. It's lovebird, not ladybird. Did I say ladybird on here? It's lovebird. Yeah, I did get it right on the screen. I don't know why I thought it was ladybird. Lovebird. I'm just going to assume dude. I don't know. They have 19 followers on Twitch. Go follow them. If they ever stream again, that is. I don't know if they ever will, but that's where they linked it. But give them love regardless on their YouTube channel that I'm watching this video on. We want to support the speedrunning community, and the only reason I'm even bringing that up, if I haven't gone full woke or anything crazy political, I'm just going to make this statement really quick. I'm not part of any of that political stuff, but I do know that the speedrunning community does have a whole lot of people of all identities, and I'm not trying to pick any fights, basically. So I obviously, like, if they're not on camera and they don't have the thing in their bio or whatever, I can't just, you know, if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. I apologize. That's all I can do. But the speedrun community, the FGC, all those sort of gaming communities are very heavily influenced and contain a lot of people of all, you know, male, female, trans, non-binary, all that stuff. And I'm not trying to get mixed up in any of that sort of politics, period. On this channel or any channel, really. You know, you are what you are, do what you want, you know. I don't mean that as in you're born a certain way. No, I mean, if you're trans, you're trans. If you're a man, you're a man. You are whatever you identify as. I don't know. Keep me out of it. That's all I'm trying to say. You know, if you tell me that you're a woman, sure, whatever. That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, cool girl, whatever. You know what I mean. I gotta get out of this bit. Okay, let's go back to the game. This is actually one of my favorite backgrounds. I do want like an HD remaster of this game, especially to see this level remade, you know, and with the super nice details and stuff. And I would love to have a desktop wallpaper of that crystallized sort of thing because it's so pretty. This is probably the worst stage in the entire game, period. I think everybody hates this stage. I think it's called Snow Barrel Blast, and it sucks. I've been watching so much speedrun stuff today. I got a freaking headache at this point. I don't know if it's from stress or not feeling that great today, or which is my fault, honestly. The way I was eating earlier, I was just eating garbage, and whenever I eat garbage, I feel like garbage after, and I keep having to learn my lesson the hard way to stop eating garbage, because then you feel like garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. If you eat bad stuff, you get bad results. I'm telling you, like, one thing I noticed is when I need to get back on track with that diet. I should be a lot lower than I mean, I was doing pretty good, losing weight pretty fast, so I know I can do it, but I don't know, stress and dealing with different people and nonsense and just, just stress, really. That's my whole thing, is like my problem is stress eating. I don't have a disorder, it's just I have a freaking, I don't know, man. What on earth am I looking at? I'm looking at a ostrich just underwater running through a stage that's supposed to be a swimming stage, being chased by a croctopus in a Super Nintendo game where they're glitching through the walls. Sure. Just sure. That's all I can say, that is sure. Why not? That would actually be a pretty good background too. Have that sort of coral reef with, like, you know, the sand in the background with the little lines and stuff. That'd be kind of pretty. Or desktop wallpaper. Actually might go with that one instead of the freezer with the ice one. That's something that's something you can take home with you though. Is if you eat like crap, you're gonna get crap results. Take care of your body, it'll take care of you for the most part. Obviously some diseases are just gonna happen regardless, but at least day to day, you know. That's the thing though, it's too convenient to eat garbage. You know, and garbage, well, the thing is, food has gotten so bad nowadays, it's like, you know, like fast food. I was thinking about it earlier. Fast food has gotten so awful. Yeah, that was Croctopus something alley, I think. Torchlight trouble. This is where well, I was about to say they were going to have the lights turn on and off, but no, it's the bird shows up and shines the light. This is a flashing lights warning. We're actually going to skip past this level because I don't want anybody that has seizure issues to get bothered by that, because there is a lot of back and forth and a lot of flashing lights. So we're just going to skip that level. I don't personally have that issue, but I don't want anyone to watch my videos and get sick because I knew a level had flashing in it like that. So I apologize if you really like that level for some reason. I don't think you would. No one really does. I've never heard anyone rave about that level. There's a couple levels that I want to skip because of the flashing lights, honestly, that are coming after this. All right, really naughty rampage. You know what's crazy? Donkey Kong Country and Sonic, I mean not Sonic, but Donkey Kong Country, Mario World, two of the biggest platformers of all time, awful boss fights. Just generic, boring, trash fights. But then you play something like Sonic, and I'm not a Sonic fanboy even. I love Donkey Kong and Mario more than Sonic games. But you gotta admit, Sonic does, you know, when it came to boss fights, they knew what they were doing. They definitely put some effort into the boss fights with that. I've actually never broken that barrel and saw what was in there, but now I know. And knowing is half the battle. I knew you were thinking it. I said it for you. If you enjoyed this sort of content, please like and subscribe. If you appreciate it, leave me a comment. You know, I don't even know why I say subscribe. Subscribing doesn't do nothing. They don't give you more views if you have more subscribers. Subscribers really don't do anything. I don't know if likes do anything either, to be honest. I don't think anyone really knows what does what, but I mean, I guess do it just because maybe the algorithm likes it. I don't know. I personally think the best thing you can do for me really is just comment. Just let me know how I'm doing, you know, what games you want to see. Build a community out of this. That's what I want. You know, regardless of algorithm this and subscribe that and like this and blah, blah, blah. No, I want to start a community out of this show. I've already have one on Discord that you can join. Link in the description. I think. Maybe not. Well, it's below the description. You can click on the Discord button. Is that Mr. Card already? What's that guy's the friggin' Flash? He is apparently the Flash. That was incredibly fast. I'm gonna pause in a moment to go grab that because it's raining outside. Ooh, there's an infinite little glitch again. I'm not sure exactly how that's done, but there are tutorials online of how to do that. Okay. You run out of one, then you break a barrel and Diddy comes out of the barrel and he starts rolling too. That's pretty neat. I like it. I'll allow it. Okay, I guess that's that level. I just want to leave the old brand behind, leave the old history behind. I don't have any controversies or anything to look up. It's just, I don't want to be like, I just don't want to be Johnny Fox anymore. I played that character for 12 years and I don't want to be that anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the, you know, sick of being that. I just want to be me, and people don't accept it. They don't accept it. Screw it. I'm too old to care. Getting too old to try to play popularity games and all that. I mean, I started the channels, well, not this channel, but I started making YouTube stuff in 2014, and it's been 12 years, and I needed a character. I needed something to be my version of the angry video game nerd, and it was Johnny Fox. And I've stayed in character for 12 years, and now I've retired that, and I just don't want to be that anymore, you know? I don't want to be Johnny Fox or Falco Punch or any of that stuff anymore. I just want to be Jack again, you know? I never got to be Jack online. Because I figured Jack was boring. Nobody wants that. They don't want a dry, boring redneck dude that's super calm and chill and just doesn't really care and doesn't take everything super serious, you know? They want explosions, you know, they want AVGN type rants and raves and freaking out at stuff, you know, and acting up and, you know, being nuts. You know what I mean? That's what people want. Because it gives you a gimmick, you know. It's like, oh, you gotta come see this guy, kind of thing, you know. All right, I'm gonna pause real quick and go get that Instacart. Be right back. All right. Yeah. But I give you a little time to unwind there. Now I'm back with a bit more. Of course, I had to feed Puppa when I went out there. I forgot to feed her. I mean, she's eaten earlier today. She's definitely not starving. But she has to go easier on her diet because she's been having some stomach problems. So I'm really watching her diet and feeding schedule and what I feed her and try to be super careful with her. She's not sick. I mean, she's acting normal, but you know, I can tell that she's having a little bit of stomach trouble, which a lot of older dachshunds, you know, weenie dogs do get. Stomach problems are pretty normal for them when they get older, unfortunately. So you just gotta be more careful with them. You can't just feed them any slop after a while. And she just basically eats canned chicken and green beans, or canned chicken and rice, and that's what the doctor wants her on, is whole human food, not kibble. She said something, I don't know what she just doesn't like kibble. The vet doesn't. And I was like, that's weird, because every other vet that I've ever heard of said that, you know, don't give him human food, period, give him kibble and nothing else, you know. But no, this one's determined, nope, no kibble. You know, it's bad for him. The doctor's really good though. Very sweet, very caring. Been a vet for like 30 years or so, probably more. You know, sweet lady. And apparently she. The funny thing was, when I went up there to get Puppa's first check-in, because her doctor closed down, so we had to find a new vet for her, which sucked. And ended up finding this one that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but it's still a real vet. It's not, you know, some person's house. It's an actual vet office. It just happens to be out in the middle of nowhere. But the clerk from the pharmacy that I went to for, I don't know, my entire life, really, you know, in my hometown, she said, you know, she was there, you know, having like her kittens looked at or something. She had a cat or something she was getting looked at, and we stood outside and we talked for like, I don't know, almost an hour, and we had never had a long conversation before. I always liked her a lot. Very sweet woman. And you know, we just talked like we were best friends for like an hour, and that was kind of where I started the whole, you know what, Johnny Fox needs to go away and we need to just become Jack and like start meeting people IRL and get out of this sort of, you know, internet is real life sort of thing and taking everything on the internet seriously. And it just kind of gave me perspective talking to local people that are normal people, that are not these, you know, hateful people on Twitter or trolls or, you know, A-logs and crazy people and mentally ill people that stalk you and stuff. It's like normal people that have known you for your entire life, and I'm starting to value that so much more than I used to after that visit to the vet, you know. And I started being a lot more involved with, you know, the locals, you know, that knew me from 20 years ago, and you know, they're just like, we haven't seen you in forever, and I'm just like, yeah, well. And it's so weird that I feel like I almost like was in space or something for a long time, you know? Because of how weird the internet can be, you know? I feel like I was like on another planet, and then I just finally got back. And I'm just like, everybody's like, you know, acting like welcome home. Like, one crazy thing I tell you, my old shop, that was like a computer repair place I owned for about 5 years, maybe 4. Yeah, I think 4. Then I shut down a year after. I shut down the LLC, not LLC, S Corporation, the year after the physical building shut down. And I kept doing it for a while, so I kept it. Then I eventually just gave up on it last year and let that go, let it lapse legally, let the S corporation expire, and canceled it and paid off the taxes that I owed on it and all that stuff, and handled that. But somebody had moved into my old office. Well, my old office was actually connected to my dad's office that he was, working out of, where he owned his own business as well. And we basically cohabitated the same building because the building was split into two, where the front section was a separate business and the rest of the building was his business. But they had partitioned it in a way where they had two different addresses, and the landlord would just split it down the middle, where like he'll be like one business on one side, one business on the other. So when the people left that side of the office, Dad took over the entire building, and then he gave me the front half to open the tech shop, to help make me and him some money, because he was sick with liver failure, and we were trying to essentially, stay afloat, and he was having money problems and family problems and drama for another day. But he's passed away 2 years ago. But I opened the shop to help him, right? To help him and, get me some money in case something happened to him, because we didn't have, or the money situation was all screwed up. Let's just say that. By the way, King Carol comes back, so that's why I'm not stopping this particular section yet. There's like another round of it, then he goes out. But, someone opened a new place in where my shop was. And it took them like 2 years to find a new tenant. It was kind of crazy that it took them that long. And the new tenant opened what was something called a wellness store. I didn't know what wellness was. I thought it was rather they sold pot or they sold I thought they sold pot, really. When I heard like wellness, I was like, all right, they sell pot or CBD or some type of thing like that. Okay, that's Donkey Kong 1. So we're going to switch over to Donkey Kong 2, and I'll continue the story there. All right, we're moving on to Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest. This is run by someone named Rafuta Obansan, I think. I don't speak Japanese, sorry. I'm sure the Japanese people that watch this are going to hate me for even trying, but I apologize. I am a Bakugajin when it comes to your language. But the name translates on the screen according to Google Translate and Gemini. Apparently it means Mr./Mrs. Leftover. I don't know what that means, if they're talking about food or if they're talking about that cultural thing in certain cultures, talking about someone that doesn't get married before they're a certain age or called a leftover, like it's a, that they got passed over by, when they were younger or something. I don't know which one they're referring to. I hope it's the former, where they're just, they like leftover food. But, yeah, either way, that's what the thing says it translates out to. But, the story, the wellness place. So they're closed for a long time, but I see the sign out front, and I go past my old shop all the time, and I would always look to see if anybody had done anything with it, just wondering, if they ever got anybody there, because I spent like 5 years there, and I also spent a lot of time there when I was a kid too, because Dad, and finally someone opened something. All right, well, and then I'm on the way to get some food or go to Walmart, can't remember which, doesn't matter. My stepbrother calls me. Okay. So I'll pull over because we needed to talk about some family business, nothing wrong, but just estate stuff from Dad's estate. So we're talking about like the house and all that sort of stuff, and I park in the next to my old shop because I was literally, he called me and I was literally passing my old shop, and I was just like, all right, hold on a second. I just, pulled over and was talking to him because nobody usually parks there anyway. And we talked for about 20 minutes and everything was fine. Me and him get along really well, actually. We talk, I mean, we get along great, you know, compared to the rest of the family and me. We actually understand each other, you know, how irritating the rest of them are. But, well, really, me and my stepbrother get along. Me and one of my stepsisters get along because she's also no nonsense, doesn't care, and has no patience for people either. All three of us have no patience. And it all comes from my sister and their sister, who are both yin and yang problems for the entire family. And I've always been that way. So the rest of us are just kind of sick of them. But anyway, I talked to him, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm already parked. They have an open sign. I'm going to go see what's going on with my old shop. You know, see who took over my store, right? And I wasn't going to go in there and burst in and say, give me my shop back. How dare you? This is, you know, my father's place for 30. I didn't do any of that. I just wanted to see what they did to it. And I wanted to see what a wellness shop was, because I thought they were selling pot. It's legal in my state. So I was just kind of like, let's see what they got. Anyway, they don't sell it there, of course. They said you had to have a license and all that stuff. They didn't have all that yet. We weren't going to bother because it was just so much trouble to get one. But I go in the door, you know, open the door to my shop, and it's almost this real surreal experience of seeing a place that I spent so long at, like, you know, 60 to 80 hours a week at some weeks, just being completely transformed into something else. And I'm looking around, I'm seeing the doors and the old bathroom and all they did a bunch of renovation. They fixed a air conditioner that wasn't working before. They fixed all this stuff. And I actually found a video of my shop. If I could find some way to censor out the details where you could see where it used to be, you know, maybe I'll put that up as a member thing so you can actually see the inside of the shop. It was cool. But, you know, I open the door and I go in there, and a woman's like sitting behind a counter, and she stands up really quick, you know, and she's just like, oh my God, she's excited. Like I'm like, you know, the second coming of Jesus showed up. And she's like, hey, I haven't seen you in 25 years or something. It's like, wait a minute. I know that face. And I had to think about it. And I was like, oh, I have an idea. Like it took a few seconds to click, and I was, oh, I know who that is. And it was actually turned out it was my babysitter from when I was like a baby, you know, when I was a little kid, you know, like 5, 10 years old or whatever. And, you know, and, like, oh my God, I haven't seen her since I was like 10, you know. Nice woman, nothing wrong with her. I like her. And, I was like, well, you took over my shop, you know, that's kind of wild. And she's like, oh yeah, I know you were here and all that. Remember I used to work for your dad back in, you know, the early 2000s. I'm like, you know, over on the other side, I'm like, did you? I didn't know. Had no idea. You know, didn't know that you worked for him as a secretary for a while. And he's like, oh, well, I was here when such and such was here. Oh yeah, I remember her too. Yeah, she was something. She wasn't a bad woman, just had a lot of mouth on her. You know, was very opinionated and not liked. But that does have a little funny story to it. I think she was in Dad's office once. Like, it was a secretary for a while between my mom and stepmom, who took over that spot, you know, from both of them. And apparently she was rather talking to a client or talking to Dad, saying, well, this person doesn't like me and that person don't like me and all these people don't like me. I don't understand them, you know, all these people don't like me or whatever, right? And Dad finally got sick of hearing it, and he said, maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe something wrong with you, Dad. Kind of reminds me of my neighbor across the street. Just a funny little story for you. I forgot how. I think it's his mother is my grandmother's sister. So I don't know what that makes him, like second or third cousin somewhere or another. Awesome dude. Just a hilarious guy as well. And he's lived there pretty much my entire life. And like most of my neighbors have lived here my entire life, really. And it's one of those famous stories you hear all the time around here. because people tell the same stories a million times and people still laugh at them for some reason. But the story was, I'm just gonna say, the husband is A and the wife is B. Well, B, she kept trying to put their dog of, I don't know what type of dog it was, but it was a dog, and she kept putting them outside on a chain so it could go use the bathroom and stuff before, so it wouldn't go in the house. Well, the dog kept getting off the chain somehow. Oh, you're supposed to be sleeping, not laughing, but I'll just tell the story really quick. So the dog keeps getting off the chain. And I don't know if Dad was there or like the guy, A told him later, but the story goes that the wife finally gets fed up after probably about 4 or 5 times putting the dog on the chain and the dog getting right off. Give me a second. I gotta collect myself for this punchline. It's a real story. It actually happened. It's not a joke. It's funny, but it's a real story. So she gets sick of the dog getting off the chain or whatever, and I think she went inside and she was cussing to A, saying, "Oh, that dog keeps getting off that chain. Something ain't right with that chain." She said, "Something ain't right with that chain. Dog keeps getting off of it or slipping off of it or whatever." And he said, "Ain't nothing wrong with that chain. There's something wrong with the person putting him on that chain." just completely got roasted by her husband of 50 years or 40 years, however long they've been together. That just cracked me up. Ain't nothing wrong with that chain. There's something wrong with the person putting them on that chain. God. I do like where I live. I grew up here, and I used to think I was going to move away and go somewhere exotic, Japan or Portland or something. And then as I got older, I was like, you know what? My life is peaceful. It's quiet. I own my house. I don't need to go and struggle for money. I don't have to worry about crackheads or anything bad. It's just a small, rural community full of, pretty much retirees and stuff. There ain't nothing ever going on around here. Everybody's really relaxed and laid back. There ain't no wild parties, ain't no drug addicts or nothing causing trouble. It's just very peaceful. And I'm at that age of 37 where that's what I want. I don't want no parties and, going to bars and, clubs and trying to get random women that go to bed with me and all that drama. I'm just ready to just live my life the way I want to live it and be happy and have a simple, basic life that ain't got a bunch of BS going on. Had enough of that for the first 34 years. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get me a woman one of these days. Maybe. We'll see. I've had a lot of close calls, but no cigar. I saw once, it was kind of funny. There's a channel. I don't want to name them because they're much bigger than me, and I'm not trying to get you to run off to them. But there was a post on Reddit about that particular channel, and I like the channel. It's not my cup of tea necessarily, but because I'm just not into the ASMR kind of stuff. They do like gaming ASMR. I'll just say that. I'm not that type of guy. So I don't do ASMR. I don't listen to it either. But I saw this thing where it was like, I need to stop watching his videos on Reddit. And I was just like, what? What did he do? And I thought that he had done something, like he had said something racist or, did something that, upset people or whatever. Because, people get in trouble all the time online. And I looked it up. I was like, all right, what did he do? Because gaming channels get into a lot of trouble. They're like, well, I feel like he's my friend. Like they were feeling a parasocial connection and it was bothering them. Sure. That's very good that they're self-aware enough to know that it could be a problem for them. I honestly don't believe that. I don't believe that it's anything. I don't know how big this channel is going to get. It may never get big, but even if it does get big, I don't see a problem with being friends with a creator that you enjoy. Because I have a lot of friends that started out as viewers that became very close friends. You know, Catherine is one of them. You know, she watches, and Zycat is what she goes by on here. And, you know, there are other people that I've had, friends come and go. I've had bad people come and go from the community. I don't see any problem with that. It's really, I think the real problem with the parasocial thing comes from romance. I think that's where you get into the weird sort of murky area, because, there's that power imbalance of, they're a super fan of you, but they're like a normal person, and they may feel inadequate, I guess, because they're dating who they believe is like a star, or somebody that they're a big fan of, someone that they support, and it clouds their judgment in a way. And I feel like you need to be more responsible with that sort of interaction. I've dated fans in the past. Nico was a fan. Sammy was a fan. And I've dated people that knew who I was but weren't fans of my show as well. They weren't anti Johnny Fox, but they just weren't viewers. Well, I wasn't their cup of tea, but they knew who I was, kind of thing, and we dated. But that's fine too. But it's like, I feel like when you get into this sort of more intimate romance and physical attraction and kind of stuff like that, it's very important to have the boundary that, you are someone that does have influence, where some people take advantage of it, but at the same time, I feel like that can become toxic and can actually cause problems. And I've seen it in a certain community that I won't even mention who they are, but where people will form these little cults of personality on Discord, and they'll have these people that almost like worship these people, and these people that are like narcissistic by nature are soaking this up and just, becoming awful people as a result, becoming, power hungry. Now, the thing about me is I don't need this channel to survive. I don't need the money is good if it ever does come, but I've already got my financial stuff and my personal stuff that I don't talk about on the internet set up where I don't need the channel to survive, and it's not my main driving force financially at all. Especially at this point, because it's so early. But I'm in a spot now where I'm comfortable enough that if I had to quit the channel and go do something else, I could. So I'm kind of immune to the whole God complex thing, because I've been going since, 2014, and I've had plenty of friends come and go, and I've never saw myself as anything better or worse than anybody else. Well, maybe better if the person was an awful human being, obviously, but when it comes to, like, if you have 3 subscribers, or if you have, 3 million, I don't see you as, more special or better than me, and I've dealt with a lot of people that are big channels that didn't like me, or I didn't like them personally. It had nothing to do with their sub count. It's just they were an a-hole, and I treated them as what they were. They were rude to me. I was rude back, and that caused a lot of trouble back in the day, because I just, these type of people will get in these parasocial kind of groups, and they think that, their poop doesn't stink, as they say in real life here. They think that that they're all that, and they're not. Sorry, you're not. You're just a dude, If, like, I saw this thing on Twitter. It was kind of interesting. I know I go off topic a lot, but this is about relaxing and listening while I, watch this. There was this little image that said, if you met Barack Obama, would you shake his hand? And I was like, or why not? This president, I don't have any personal beef with him. I wouldn't disrespect him because he's a grown man and a human being. You know what I mean? Like, I may not agree with some of the actions he took, and the same goes for any president or any politician. You know, if they came up to me and wanted to shake my hand, sure, man, it's fine. You know, basic human respect. We're going to skip this, by the way, because this is actually one of those flashing stages that I don't want to get anybody with seizures to get sick from. Right, here we go. We're on the next level. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to skip those if I spot them. I think that's the only one in this game, though. Pretty sure. No, I was just like, no, I'll treat him like another dude. It's like, what's up, man? How you doing? You know, hope you're enjoying life and got away from the circus, you know. I don't have a personal issue with these people. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. He might know me because of the surveillance, probably, but, oh, man, I just don't, whatever, bro. I don't get, oh, my God. Someone literally just went down. They're going to crash. There's no way they're not. People treat this road like a drag strip. I swear that guy had to be going 55 miles an hour right past my house, and there's not even like a quarter mile left of road before you hit a straight up brick wall. And people just treat this place like a friggin' drag strip, and it just, they need to do something about that. Put up a camera or something about these people acting up like that. I ain't trying to be a Karen, but they're literally driving 60 miles an hour in a residential zone where the people have like kids and dogs and stuff playing near the road, and a dog could run out at any point and, you know, get hit by a car because these idiots want to show off for their little idiot buddies, wanting to go 60 miles an hour in a frickin' residential zone when the road's not even a quarter mile long. If they want to go speed, they can do it out of town. That's just really, it's disrespectful. You know, they want, or the same type of people that go and boom their bass at freaking 11 at night and want to boom, 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 going down the road and wake everybody up and get the dogs mad and all that. I can't stand those people. I ain't got no sense. It kind of reminds me of that South Park episode. I don't know if you remember that South Park episode. It was, about the guys that were like bikers and they were really loud and annoying, and they would just go through town and they would just make all this racket and just like disturb everybody, trying to be like, hey, look how cool we look or whatever, and everybody was calling them a word I can't say on YouTube or any website, but it was just kind of funny that it was just like, it was like a roast on that exact sort of thing, as loud equals cool kind of thing. Hey man, I got a loud stereo I got from friggin' Walmart. Ain't that so cool? I put it in my friggin' 92 Honda Civic that barely runs. And it rattles the frame and it can fall apart at any point, but no man, you can hear the bass on this thing. Just, oh my God. Okay, I wonder how you do that. That's pretty neat. I like it. But I'm still watching the game, don't worry. I'm not. So we're going into the first Lost World stage, which is the ice level. I don't know what it's called because the text is in Japanese right now because of the Japanese runner, but I like that background as well. I like ice in general. Ice is not, I don't like cold that much, but I like the look of ice and I like the look of snow. It's pretty. You know, snowy anything is really pretty, especially at night. I like rain too, because I play rain constantly in my house, so whether rain or fan, you know, I always keep a box fan running in almost every room, really, because I like the white noise that the box fans put out, and it helps me with my tinnitus that's really bad. But you get older, you get problems, man. That's how it is. I'm sorry that if you think that I'm just ignoring the game or that I'm not talking about the game enough. I mean, it's Donkey Kong 2. What am I supposed to tell you? I don't, you know, it's there, you know. I've played it a billion times. I've played it myself. If you want to hear me talk about the game or me experience the game with you, you can go watch my video, Fall Asleep While I Play Donkey Kong Country 2. And there's two different versions of it. One is Super Nintendo, one's the GBA version. So you can watch me play this right now if you really wanted to with that commentary. This is a speed run video though, so that ain't me. Even though it could be if I, you know, didn't have carpal tunnel so bad. That's one problem that recently did come back after making these videos, is my carpal tunnel on both hands came back, and it makes it harder to make the actual gaming videos because my left hand especially will like go numb when I'm trying to grip a controller, so I have to be very careful with how I grip it and all of that. And I need to get to surgery at some point, but I keep dreading it, hearing that, you know, even if you can go back to normal activity in a day or two with the fanciest one, you still have these limitations, like you can't pick up heavy stuff and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to inconvenience myself that bad unless the carpal tunnel gets so bad that it drives me nuts, you know. But that's something me and the whole family have, actually, funny enough. Dad had it, he got the surgery. Uncle had it, he just got the surgery not long ago. My sister has it. I'm pretty sure the rest of the family probably all have it. I got carpal tunnel and cubital tunnel. I got carpal tunnel on both hands, and it's been tested with the shock thing and everything. You know, saying that it's moderate. And I got cubital tunnel on my right elbow, where if I sleep on it, if I sleep with my elbow bent, I'll wake up with my ring and pinky finger numb and basically useless and dead until I straighten my arm out and just, you know, leave it there a bit. And you know, is what it is. You can't really do nothing about it except for just don't sleep with your arm like that, because, you know, the only other thing they could do is a surgery that's pretty invasive to move the nerve to another spot, and then it could just cause problems. So I manage. I got a lot of health problems, man. I'm getting old. I feel like I'm getting old. Well, I've always felt old. My body's always been a wreck, but it's whatever. It happens. We all have pains and aches, and I don't think anybody feels 100% good all the time. And even if you do look and sound happy, you probably got problems that drive you crazy, and you just drown them out somehow, probably. So to the people that wonder, you know, why I even did the Johnny Fox character, you got to realize something, you know, something that's a little bit, you know, unknown about me, I guess, because of how long I played the character and stayed in character, not showing this side of myself at all, ever, especially not under that brand, you know, because I didn't want to break the illusion until recently. Why did I do it instead of being myself? Because myself is boring, you know. Everybody online, you know, if you like, I came from the era, you know, like when I watched YouTube, my favorite stuff was Angry Video Game Nerd, Nostalgia Critic, Spoonie, Odd in the Shadows, Lord Cat, all that kind of stuff, right? So they were all playing characters, different characters that they created, and that's where my influence came from for, you know, wanting to do YouTube, was wanting to play a character. Well, one of my favorite things, especially around that era, was Jim Cornette. And I still love Jim Cornette. I was listening to him earlier today, actually. And Jim Cornette would go on these fiery rants about, he didn't like nobody and everybody's a piece of garbage and blah, blah, blah. And I loved it because he was so raw and unfiltered and, screw that guy. He was just a turd, kind of thing. I love that sort of raw intensity he has. It still does. And then I also love Stone Cold Steve Austin's kind of, let me tell you something about that, that person. I don't care about that, no filter, no, more, don't mess with me kind of attitude, which was another section of it. But I also grew up with, absolutely loving and adoring Eddie Murphy, his movies and his stand-up, and was a huge fan of Eddie Murphy's storytelling, and Robin Williams too. Huge fan of Robin Williams' randomness and Eddie Murphy's storytelling. So I basically made this character of this redneck Johnny Fox that was really over the top and really, rambunctious and no filter and very opinionated and let me tell you something, brother, kind of like Hulk Hogan in a way, and very over the top, very parody in a way of almost like a mix of pro wrestling and stand-up comedy in a way. But it wasn't real, man, and people really believed it was real, and they're like, oh my god, he's such a spurg, he's crazy. No, not really. It was a character I made up, and people really bought into it, and I didn't want to break the illusion, because I figured if I break the illusion, the thing is over. A magician doesn't tell you how he does his tricks, kind of thing, So I didn't want to break that with people. But, there's a lot of people that did see the genuine me, Jack, that you see on this series off air, obviously. And there were some people that saw it. People, especially when they came to me saying, you helped me with your videos, or I was going through a dark time, and, you really did help and made me laugh or whatever. And, people would come to me and they needed help, and I would help them in various ways. I won't say how, because then people might try to exploit that, but more than one way that I would help them, with whatever they needed, that I thought I could help with realistically, and, they saw that side. And then like once in a while, like it would be like I'll be talking to somebody. There was also another character actor online on a Discord call, and all of a sudden one of their friends would join in because they would see me and this person, and all of a sudden, they would hear me and this other character actor playing, talking to each other like normal people, that we were out of character. And the guy, I forgot who the guy was, but I just remember him saying, oh my God, you really aren't like that, are you? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I thought you were like this, redneck butthole that was like really rude and loud and outspoken and don't give, no filter and all that. It's just, you're just so different. And I'm just like, well, sorry. It's just, that's not what I am, especially in real life. I'm almost a mute, man. Like legit. Like when I go in a store, I don't talk to anybody. I don't even talk to the cashier. I'll just be on it. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I was always a fan of the roller coaster levels, honestly. Huge fan. I remember seeing it in the commercial and everybody was freaking out about how awesome the roller coaster stuff was. Especially in the magazines. They made a big deal out of it. I usually say I hate auto-scrollers, but these are one of the few times that I don't hate auto-scrollers, strangely enough. So that level's done. Move on to... I'm hoping this audio syncs up, because it's actually... I'm doing this in post, because there was a section of audio that got screwed up, and I didn't want to leave a 15-minute gap, so... If you hear a slight delay on if I say like a level's done or something like that, I apologize. Basically, like I had an entire section, like 20 minutes of commentary that I recorded live got completely trashed. I don't know how it happened, but yeah. So I'm basically having to re-record it now, basically. So a little bit awkward, but hopefully not. I try to keep commentary as even and smooth as possible, and I try to keep it where you don't think too much about it, but I don't also feel like if I left it in there 15 minutes of just silence and rain, I feel like that would be almost like, you know, that wouldn't really be a fair use thing, even though it's, obvious fair use from the actual work we're doing here. I might also crop this a bit because there's this huge watermark on the bottom saying something about follow the chat rules on and on. So I guess people were unruly in the Japanese speedrunner chat. Well, I don't think I can really cinch that up unless I mess with the footage. Nah, I'm gonna leave it in there because that's what they wanted on their video. Also, with to get that text to look right again, plus trying to figure out how to write that name out again. Just, I'm lazy. It'll be all right. But please support the runner, the original runner of this game, whose name is Mr./Mrs. Leftover. I don't know if it really means Mr./Mrs., but on the translator, it said Mr./Mrs. So maybe it's a couple, or maybe it's two people that were considered leftovers in Japan and they ended up together, so that's why they call themselves that. Or maybe it's just one person that calls himself that for some reason. I'm not sure. It's a very toxic sort of thing that I've heard that happens a lot in certain countries and cultures, where it's the idea, and I think I already said it in this video, but I'll just repeat it really quick in case I didn't on this take. There's this idea that and it's also a thing in the United States to an extent, that if a woman doesn't get married by 35, then she's passed over, more or less. People don't want her as much as they used to, or some cultures, I guess it's more extreme and even frowned upon to not be partnered up at a certain point. But I think for the most part in the US, it's really not a thing where they push it too hard. I really am thinking about legit cutting that bottom off and just retyping the kanji, because I can get that name and put it in there, and it's going to look slightly different, but it's just distracting. It says follow the chat rules update May 10th, 2023. Bunch of Japanese, and then a date after the Japanese that I can't read. I mean, what chat rules would you really have on Twitch? Don't say stuff that'll break TOS. Don't be racist or anything. I mean, what? I'm not trying to get into whatever drama history, if they have any, honestly. They might have some type of drama behind it over in the Japanese speedrun scene. I don't know. I'm not in it. I don't speak it. I don't really care. And if they did something illegal, tell the cops, not me. That's kind of my stance on most things. If someone does something illegal, tell the cops, not me. You should have told them already. Tell me after they're arrested for it. Moving on to one of the Lost World jungle levels. sleeping like crap lately. I feel like crap the last couple of days. Not sick like a cold or flu. Just I feel groggy and like garbage and just tired and zoned out and kind of brain dead. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's stress related. Maybe it's just bad sleep. I don't know. Finally, the song in my head has changed. It was, Is It Love? And also there was Is It Love by Whitesnake. And there was another song I had stuck in my head that wouldn't leave me alone. I forgot what it was already, but right now it's Time Bomb by the Ramones that keeps playing over and over. It's a good song. I like that song. Ramones had some good songs. Not all of it, but, you know, they did have some standouts. Time Bomb was good, of course. Commando. I Want to Live off the Halfway to Sanity album. That's not, yeah, it's just called I Want to Live. Looking at the top 50 mobile games, and all of these still look like shovelware crap. I don't know where these people find these amazing mobile games that are like, you know, super realistic looking and beautiful, but like almost all of these just look like yeah, they literally look like Chinese shovelware garbage. Like none of them look like proper games. Like the top one is some puzzle game with the cat that looks like it came straight out of AI Studios, and then Roblox, which I've never played anything of really, I don't think, and maybe I should. I don't know. I've heard of it, but I just never really sat down and figured out Roblox at all. All right, we're on King Zing Sting. That's great. That's probably the hardest boss in the game, in my opinion. I mean, I like some mobile games and I like Flash games a lot, but it's just, I don't know, man. There's a certain era. It's just like, you know, I guess they do it because like certain phones are like cheap and crappy, and you probably can't play the fancy, you know, FPS or like PUBG Mobile or whatever, like on like your freaking Samsung A01 or whatever. You probably got those like $40 at Walmart. So they're in Gloomy Gulch now. Gloomy Gulch is the next one that shows up. Probably my favorite world in the entire Donkey Kong series is Gloomy Gulch. It's basically the super sad kind of horror related level with like the ghosts and the, you know, the different little fall seasons. It's a very cozy and relaxing look and sound, you know. Plus, Forest Interlude is one of the greatest songs in video game history, which I didn't get video footage of on this one because I recorded with the sound off. But it has definitely an atmosphere to it that I really appreciated. The music, the visuals, the fall sort of aesthetic, the leaves falling, the, you know, stuff sort of settling down. Just a little bit sad and melancholy. Here comes one of the more famous levels, the Ghost Pirate, that the way it works is basically if the timer goes down to 0, you lose a Kong. So you have to hit these plus and minus barrels. If you hit the minus barrel, then, you know, you lose time. If you hit the plus barrel, you gain time. But as I said, if you hit 0, then, you know, you lose a Kong, so that's not good. See, I'll tell you what I have a problem with between, since this is post commentary after I watched all of DKC3 and I've seen the entire game now. DKC3 is boring. It's boring. That's the problem. It is a boring playthrough that has a lot of levels that, yeah, they're pretty and the music might be pretty and the gameplay might be all right, but the level design is just slumber inducing boring. I know that this is a fall asleep while I play channel, but that gameplay is so boring that it's not even fall asleep. It's more like you just feel like you're miserable and wish you were watching something else boring. Like they try so many gimmicks and some of them are cool in concept, but the execution is just so bland and boring. And even David Wise, the guy who did all the music for the series, kind of checked out and was basically plagiarizing Michael Jackson and other stuff just to get, you know, through it, you know, because it came out so late that I guess they were just trying to kind of rush it and throw something together because they had a contract, I guess. So even David Wise was taking direct note for note rips from Michael Jackson songs and stuff like that just to get the job done on time, you know, like that. You'll hear it a couple times. If you look at the song, there's a guitar solo that's very simple in the song called They Don't Care About Us by Michael Jackson. And it was on the History album that came out right before Donkey Kong Country 3. And it's like, you know, it's they basically took that exact solo rhythm section and just sped it up slightly, and voila, you have a song for a game. That's how lazy that the devs were on DKC3 on that. Just, you know, just they wanted to throw something together, say screw it, buy this, people, and nobody really cared because the N64 was out by then. But the song that I'm talking about, I don't know what level it was on exactly. I think it was on like one of the mountain levels, like it's like that's it just does that over and over really fast, and that entire chunk was stolen right from They Don't Care About Us. And then, well, Sonic stole some stuff too. They stole Sonic 3 straight up took, for Ice Cap Zone, I think it was, straight up took the entire song Hard Times by the Jetsons, Jetzons, and Sonic 3 straight up stole that song Hard Times. It was like a one hit that they did that I don't even remember if it was a hit or not, but it was a good song. I like it. You know, check it out, Hard Times by the Jetsons. It's a good song. But you'll hear it directly in Sonic 3, and then There's also Kelly and Ice Cap Zone. They took a Michael Jackson song, but I don't remember which one. But they mixed it with like circus music, and it was really weird. And it must have been off the Dangerous album, but I don't know what song it was. It just came to me. It was Jam off of the Dangerous album. That was it. I already said it in that video though, so you'll see it if you watch the Sonic speedrun video. But yeah, it was the song Jam. It was like this little one sample that they took from it. Not the whole song. They stole the entire song from the Jetsons, but they only took a piece of a Michael Jackson song and put it in their thing note for note. From the Jam, like, you know, it's like that, you know, it was like almost sounds like a Mario thing, doesn't it? It was like a little trumpet section in the song Jam during the chorus, and they took that and put that in Sonic 3. So yeah, I think they really did put their heart into Sonic 3. I don't think they put their heart into Donkey Kong 3 at all. I think they were too worried about Donkey Kong 64 because they were over cluttering that mess with a bunch of stuff that didn't need to be there. And I seriously might be cutting that bottom part off because that's just ugly. I get that they had some type of problem with their chat, but that's what the ban button is for on Twitch. the funny. And that's what I kind of aimed for with a lot of my stuff when I was doing the comedy stuff, was mixing in some wisdom with like, bad relationships was a big one. Like I'd always bring up bad relationships, crazy exes, and BPD hoes and all that stuff. And, I don't think I was influenced by Carlin at all, but at the same time, it was kind of like I did have that kind of flavor of, I would bring in reality and storytelling and tell some crazy stories, and some real, some not, and just because it was funny, But one thing I kind of compared myself with really was The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. By the way, this level sucks. It's called Castle Crush, and it sucks. The vertical auto scroller, and as a kid, I could never beat it because I thought you couldn't kill the porcupines with like a roll. I didn't know that, but I done lost my train of thought. Oh, the mask thing, yeah. I always felt like Johnny Fox was my version of the Mask. Like how like Stanley Ipkiss is really boring in real life and kind of like, quiet and introverted and doesn't like, kind of nervous around people and all that. And then he puts on the mask and he's the complete opposite of what he's like in, normal life. Like completely over the top nuts, cartoon logic and cartoon, physics and, all the stuff that he'll do is very cartoony and over the top because the cartoons is what he enjoyed watching. So when he put the mask on, he would turn into like a living cartoon, because was like his inner child or whatever was coming out as the mask. Well, that's what Johnny Fox was to me. It's like whenever I would start a video of Johnny Fox, it was almost like putting the mask on because I would kind of black out in a way and still do, even with this show where I don't remember what I say, but I would black out and turn into that character and just like, it's showtime. And I would just kind of just go nuts, And the thing was, people found it hilarious. And the thing was, it started at parties in real life. Because we used to sit around and drink and hoop and holler, and Johnny was like a thing where there was a lot of Johnny and Jack. I'll admit that. There is a lot of Johnny Fox and the real man, me, Jack. But it's not... The anger was fake. I'll put it that way. The anger and the overtop rants and, you're an idiot and just all that other sort of stuff. That was all fake. That was all meant for the character to tell somebody off and, throw down kind of thing. Cause that was the character. But like in real life, yeah, I talk massive amounts of crap and, joke and act crazy too. Like when I'm comfortable with people, but, this is my default. So I'm not, Johnny Fox is like the most extreme version of me mixed with a bit of character play and some, influence from comedy stuff that I watch, or like Jim Carrey, of course, is in there too. A lot of that over the top sort of stuff. The Mask. Yeah. Jim Carrey. Cause the thing is, I grew up when I was growing up, my favorite movies were like The Nutty Professor, Major Payne, all the Jim Carrey stuff, Liar, Liar, and all the Dumb and Dumber, and all that stuff were like my favorite movies, and I've seen them a billion times. So I really did kind of imitate a lot of that sort of comedy into my, my personality really, was that goofy kind of over the top guy. But, that was mainly for like, when I would be hanging out with people and wanting to make people laugh, I would play the character. But, when I was alone, obviously I wasn't doing that. And, when I was talking to my dad, I wouldn't act like Johnny Fox. But, I don't remember if Dad ever watched my videos. I think my sister did a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I didn't really tell the family about Johnny Fox at all. I just told him I did YouTube and that was it. I didn't tell him anything about what I did. I don't really tell anybody about what I do on YouTube in real life. I kind of keep the two separate, just because I feel more comfortable at being separate worlds. And, Animal Antics. I think this is the stage where everybody says it's like the hardest thing ever and it's awful, and I've never played it, so we'll see. Let's actually watch this. Focus on this for a bit. I pray this video is good and you don't think it sucks because of the personal stories and the more open nature of it, where it's not just endlessly trying to spam keywords in a script about, hoping YouTube sees that I'm watching a Donkey Kong run. What can I really say? It's Donkey Kong 2. There's On Guard the Swordfish, and now here comes the spitting spider thing, Squitter or whatever his name is. I don't know what the spider's name is actually, or the parrot. I don't know what his name is either. Well, I really made Peaceful Pixels for two things. Since we're talking about like show stuff anyway, or should be. Just for history, H3H3 had a lawsuit against Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron, and he was also suing some other people for defamation. Well, I wasn't making any money as Johnny Fox, and I was already fed up with the character, being that guy, dealing with the people who were, to be honest, marks that did not get the memo that, characters exist on the internet. And, they would hate me and they would do stuff and try to sabotage things that I was doing out of character because they hated the character so much, and, because they're marks, and I wasn't making enough money to justify the risk of having somebody get emotional and all of a sudden try to sue me for saying, oh, well, you said I was a bad person or something. I'm going to sue you for calling me this name or whatever you called me. And it's like, okay, if people are going to start suing each other and, H3H3 ended up getting 250 grand, I think. And just, I'm like, dude, this is not worth me losing all of my money, my entire future, my livelihood, even my life in some ways, and me ruining in my real life stuff over a character that people can't stand or don't like, because of their own mental illness that they're suffering with, So I was just like, when that first happened, when the lawsuits were first filed, I was just like, I was already done, and I created Peaceful Pixels. Well, I should have just kept doing Peaceful Pixels and never went back to Johnny Fox, really. In retrospect, I should have stayed as Peaceful Pixels the whole time, because it was actually starting to take off, and some videos are getting about 1,000 views. Like the Sim City one, did close to 1,000 very early on, because the original run of Peaceful Pixels only ran for about, I don't know, a month or two. And then it went right back to Johnny and all that, which it shouldn't have. I should have given it a more long shot. I just got nervous thinking that, if I didn't go back, that I would basically go broke or whatever. I don't know what I was thinking. It was a lot of stuff going on at that point. But once he won, that was the nail in the coffin. That was, all right, Johnny's gone. We're getting rid of all these videos. We're going to break character and finally admit that this is all a work and go be real with people and hope that they accept the real guy, because I'm not trying to risk my real life and my family life and my future ability to eat and feed this dog in here because, some a-hole is like, oh, I don't like him. He called me, he said I was a loser and I'm going to sue him and all this stuff. Cause that's what H3H3 did. He was suing people for just like people making fun of him. And it's like now people are doing that. Like Billy Mitchell like goes out there like suing a guy for wins like, you know, almost $350,000. You know, somebody copies H3's video without giving enough commentary. He wins $250K. You know? And it's just people are like going and get like reporting each other and people getting banned left and right. I was like, you know what? Screw it. It's not worth the tiny amount, $400 a month. It was not worth $400 a month to put up with people that were stalking me, trying to ruin my real life because they hated a character on the internet because they're that mentally ill and obsessed. And then it also wasn't worth the possibility of a lawsuit over a video that literally would make me $25. Like the catfish videos maybe made me $25-$30 at most per video. There was like, yeah, it was pathetic. A lot of them didn't make that. A lot of them made like $5. You know, they didn't make any money. So I finally just like, you know what? This isn't paying me. I'm not happy. Don't want to do it anymore. Don't like the people I'm dealing with that are causing problems. I'm tired of this character. I'm tired of being fake. I'm tired of having to wake up worrying if I'm going to have a copyright strike or a freaking harassment strike or some other idiot, you know, sending me like, you know, DMCA's talking about they're going to sue me for, you know, plagiarism by, you know, reacting to their video with a ton of commentary. And just, I got sick of it. I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. GG, you know, put a fork in it. Just wrap up your videos and then put them in a vault somewhere and just, you know, give the 3 or 4 people that would care, you know, if at all, you know, say here, you know, it's yours, have fun, whatever you want with it. Just, you know, I would even just say, I would even put them on Rumble or some other, or even archive.org or something. But at the same time, I kind of don't want them out there. I kind of want that series to just be gone because it's got baggage and it also still has, you know, idiots that could try to weaponize it or whatever. It's not trying to get into any legal drama. I just want to be left alone in real life. I'm too old for it. I'm too old for the, you know, fight me IRL nonsense. I was too old for when I was in my 20s, to be honest. All right, we're moving on to the last couple of stages. Here's the race level. This is actually a pretty cool trick that I'm going to tell you how to do because I can do this and I did it in my video. It's something you can do to save a lot of headache in this last level before the final boss fight. There's actually 2 boss fights, by the way, because they're doing 100%, so you're going to see 2 boss fights. Well, now they had to do 102%, so that's why they got all the coins instead of just doing the cheat. I think in any... Okay, so, back up. Gotta show you. I'll show you what I mean. Alright. I'm gonna slow this down a little bit. Alright, so you get the bird right here, right? Okay, watch. I'm gonna slow this down and actually go frame by frame if I can get this to cooperate. No, this is on Twitch, ain't it? Okay, they ain't YouTube, so don't do that. Okay. So, right here, this bird. Alright, watch. So, right here in this spot, if you keep going left at this altitude, you're gonna end up in a race with this black bird, okay? This black bird is a pain in the butt to beat. But on the Super Nintendo version, or maybe even the Wii Virtual Console version, if you fly up into that crack, I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean. Hold on a second. Let me get my cursor. I'll show you where the spot I'm talking about. The good black, yeah, it's getting stupid. Give me a second. Okay, so right here, if you can see where my pointer is, if you go right here, you take the bird and you go right here and you go like this up into this spot and you fly over top of him, it'll skip the race. I don't know why, but you'll see it in a moment, like how they basically go up and over the bird and the bird never like the race never activates. So you basically just go through without having to race the bird. I'll show you really quick. All right, this went by really fast, but if you watch it, is this thing sped up or something? Did those hotkeys do something? Yeah, they did. They actually sped the game up. Okay, the video up. Okay, my bad. See, the thing is, like the greater than and less than keys on YouTube will go forward and backwards really slow. So watch this. Okay, you'll see it right here. You get to that spot, they're going to go up, they're going to turn, and then they're going to go over the bird, and that skips the race because they don't hit the box where it'll do the thing. So now they can just basically go through without having to deal with the bird and, you know, all that getting in the way. They would have obviously won anyway, but that's just a trick that you can actually do. It's very easy. It's not frame perfect. It's very lenient. I did it, so you can do it. But that, if you're having trouble with that bird race, just fly over top of him from behind, and then he'll, you know, just not even activate. You just, you know, basically move past the starting line and just, you know, finish without having to worry about the race. So, as you can see, the race didn't even activate, and you just get out of the level. Alright, so here's the final boss fight. Well, the first final boss fight. You gotta fight him again in the Lost World. But this boss fight kind of speaks for itself. We're gonna go on to Donkey Kong Country 3, but I'm not gonna do that tonight. Well, you wouldn't know that if I didn't say that. I'm gonna do it in the morning. I'm tired, and I've had a long day, and I already recorded that 3-hour, like, friggin' Star Fox video. And this is another one that I'm doing the same day. Trying to get this out there because my output is insane. And I just have nothing but time, apparently. So I keep putting out these mega long videos multiple times a day somehow. But, yeah, I'm going to step away for a second, but enjoy this boss fight, and I'll be right back for the next one. Alright, I'm here for the next boss fight. That's the original ending if you don't do the Lost World thing. We're gonna skip ahead a little bit. We can actually see the proper ending. Okay. They got another level to do by the look of it. Yep, one of those jungle levels. Pro tip, random tip of the day. If you need a small bag and you're not someone that's all about fashion and all that, you need a small bag that's super durable to hold your meds, your bandages, basically a med kit for like your daily medicine plus all your other stuff. They have bags from DeWalt that come with DeWalt drills that are basically indestructible. So you might be able to get one used for like $5-10, and if that's what I use to put all my stuff in, so all my meds and bandages and other stuff, all the other stuff I need for medicine, I keep it all in a DeWalt bag. And because they're literally meant to house drills with sharp bits and different attachments and get thrown around on job sites and beat up really bad, super tough, never gonna wear out probably, because it doesn't have anything sharp in there stabbing it all the time like you would with the drill bit. But they're very, very strongly made and easy to carry and cheap. That's just a good little trick to have, like, for your med bag. Like, just something that you could put in the middle of the house. It's bright, it's black and yellow, you can't miss it, and you just put all your first aid stuff and your medicines and all that stuff in it, is what I was trying to say. That's a lot. I used to use grocery bags, but I don't know. I was going to rather sell it or throw it out because I was cleaning out my house and trying to get rid of junk, and I was like, wait, that's just a bag. Maybe I could just throw my stuff in there, because I kept having plastic bags wear out. It's just the exact right size to be a medicine bag. Did they miss some of the bonuses or something? Kind of weird. It's just a little weird. Did they not do all the levels? I thought they did They did the ice one. They did a couple others. They did the animal antics one with where you do all the animal stuff. What are you doing? What am I looking at? They phased into the floor with this barrel. And I have no idea what... I guess it's going to zip them to the end of the level? That's what it looks like. In case you're watching this, Amber, I did take my meds on time. She used to always make a point. It was like, Amber was very mama bird about me, especially. And like, she knew exactly when I went to bed. So every time I would go to, you know, it'd be right around that time that I had to go to bed. Really? Is he dead already? That was the fastest boss fight in history. Anyway, she would basically just tell me to get, you know, became part of her routine to tell me to take my meds before bed, so I wouldn't forget them and stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning talking to her and then wake up grouchy the next day. But, I guess I didn't think it was going to be over that fast, but sure. I guess King K. Rool was on his last, or Captain K. Rool was on his last legs there. And I can see the island falling into the sea and all the innocent people died, I guess. Rip. Entire island just dies because, you know, Captain K. Rool, and apparently he sails off to, or somebody sailed off to live another day, but I think they're just going to show you the 102%. Let's move on to DKC3. I'm not going to finish it tonight, but I'm probably going to watch a little bit of it because I still got a little bit of time before bed. So I'll see you in a moment. Give me a second. I'll pull it up. All right, let's get back to it. This is the next day, 9 a.m. I don't know why I'm telling you that. I could have just left it out and just, you know, don't know what happened there. But okay, it just kind of glitched up on me for a second. Nice to see On Guard came back. By the way, this is 103% Donkey Kong Country 3. I guess it's called Trixie's Double Trouble or something. Honestly, the bosses in this game are actually really good. I'll give it that. The level design isn't horrible. The biggest problem is Kiddy Kong, and also the fact that it's just kind of all over the place. Like, they're just throwing so much at the wall, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. I have a mixed relationship with this particular game. It's definitely not the best, you know, but it's also not outright awful like, you know, other games could be. I just really think that if there was a ROM hack where they just replaced Kitty with Dixie again, I mean, with Kitty with Diddy, it would be a decent game. It'd be a lot better if they got rid of Kiddy Kong. He's just annoying. He's like clunky and heavy and not easy to use, and when you know, lose a life, he starts screaming like a baby, and it's just really annoying. Glad they're kind of just, you know, skipping him and just using Dixie for the most part. That's better than the alternative, really. The music's good. The graphics are good. The bosses are good. I'll say that this game, like, if we're going to rate the Donkey Kong games, I'm going to say DKC 1 is like a 9. I love that game to death. There's maybe 1 or 2 levels total in the entire game that I don't like. The rest of them are just wonderful. DKC 2, of course, is a 10 out of 10. I mean, there's maybe like 2 levels total. Again, well, no, let's put that at a 9 as well, because I love that game. Well, 9.5. It has better levels than DK1, but there are a couple of levels I'm not a big fan of in DKC2. So we're going to put that at, you know, slightly above DK1. This one, 8. It's not a bad game. It's actually above average, but it's just, it has some annoying bits. Like, I really don't like the elephant. The elephant animal buddy. He's annoying. I don't like Diddy. Well, they just completely ignored the elephant. That's cool. Didn't know you could do that. Very useful. But, yeah, it's just because the elephant, like, if you go in the light and the elephant sees a mouse, like, it freaks out and runs away, and a lot of times takes a hit. And it's really annoying. Also, I don't like the redesign of the Zengas or Zingers. The bumblebee, well, wasp, hornet, whatever you call them. It's weird. They kind of couldn't figure out if they wanted the Zingers to be bees, hornets, or wasps, because it was like, you know, in Donkey Kong Country 2, they're honeybees because they have, you know, the hive that makes honey inside of it. But the design is more like a yellow jacket or the Japanese murder hornet. Like, it's more similar to that than a honeybee. So it's a kind of weird mix where, like, I don't feel like I guess they're bees because they do make honey, at least in the second game, but the rest of the series they don't, I don't think. So I kind of, you know, I think there's a common misconception that like yellow jackets and wasps and hornets and stuff like that actually make honey or make anything or even live in a, you know, a hive or whatever. They live in a nest. Like honeybees are good. Everything, all the rest of them are pretty much bad. Anything that's wasp or hornet is pretty much bad. For the most part, a bee will leave you alone. A wasp won't. That's the biggest thing. If you're getting chased by something, it's probably a wasp or a hornet. Because you disturb the hive, or you just happen to be near a trash can that they're feasting on. They're aggressive. You know, most wasps are aggressive. Paper wasps, yellow jackets, all of them. Yellow jackets are the meanest of all of them, though. I think that's pretty much common knowledge. The yellow jackets are like probably the angriest creature on Earth, except for maybe a hippo. Yellow jackets are just mean, man. They don't care. They see you and you're immediately, you know, it's stinging time just because you exist. And you dared to be in, you know, the same 100-foot radius of them. The crazy thing is the ones that we see in America that people think are murder hornets are actually not murder hornets. They're European wasps. Well, they're European hornets and they're actually not even aggressive. The big yellow scary looking ones that you think is a murder hornet, they're not even aggressive. Like you have to pretty much, you know, force them to sting you. That's how non-aggressive they are. I saw Coyote Peterson handling one and it just waited for him to let go of it so it could fly off and go do its thing. Didn't sting him. They don't want to sting. Those particular ones don't want to sting you. A yellow jacket wants to sting you. Paper wasps do too. Mud daubers don't. Mud daubers are like the black ones you see flying around. Like if you see like a black bug that's kind of big flying around, it's most likely a mud dauber. They're not aggressive. It's weird. They kind of live alone, I think. From what I looked up, the mud daubers actually want to live alone, solitary, and they don't have a hive. And they're like basically a black wasp that lives in the mud. It makes itself a little mud hole, and it like goes and grabs spiders. So all a mud dauber wants to do, if you ever see one, he ain't there for you. He's there looking for a spider. Because that's what they eat. But, you know, I've had them crawling on me and stuff before, and they don't sting you. They just try. They really mellow you. You can literally swipe them off you, and they'll just, you know, crawl around and do their business and then leave you alone after. Like, seriously. They're not even, they ain't nothing. The only one around here you got to worry about is the yellow jackets. They're just Maine. But nah, bumblebees, honeybees, carpenter bees, even, they don't bother you. They don't do nothing. Mud daubers don't do nothing either. These yellow jackets and paper wasps, they'll get you. Honestly, most spiders don't want to mess with you either. I don't know if they're necessarily scared of us, but they generally try to avoid us. Snakes the same way, they try to avoid you. I mean, there's still all this stuff is still dangerous, sure, but like none of it's actually out to get you. And like as long as you leave it alone, it'll leave you alone, kind of thing, for the most part, for any of that stuff. Even bears, you leave it alone, it'll probably leave you alone, unless you get near its, near its cubs or whatever. Even alligators leave you alone for the most part, from what I've heard, unless you got food. Then they just try to get your food. They might attack your dog, but they ain't trying to eat you. I ain't saying that you shouldn't be scared of these things, because obviously you should be scared of like a cobra or something that could kill you, but it's not like you're just walking along and you see a snake and all of a sudden it's going to chase you down, because they won't. Snakes usually freeze and will just kind of look at you and wait for you to leave them alone. And that's even rattlesnakes will do that. That's why they do the little shaker thing, is like basically saying go away. Like that's the whole point. I mean, yeah, they're aggressive, but their whole thing is they're just rattling that thing on their tail to tell you to go away and leave me alone. I looked it up. I think they said the only things that will really attack you in America, at least, that would actually seek you out, maybe it's like a mountain lion, I guess, but even they're kind of scared of us. And bears, if you mess with their cub, obviously. Geese will attack you, but I don't think they can really hurt you that bad. They're just a bunch of flapping and noise. All right, so it says right here, which is actually interesting. It says, all right, so it says basically the only thing in America that'll try to eat you, that'll seek you out as food, is a polar bear, and that's it. So don't try to give him a Coke. Run away. Get away from the thing. Or whatever you do to get rid of a polar bear. But they'll try to actually eat you. And it says also, if you get in the water with alligators, if they're big enough, they might try to come at you, but generally they'd rather eat what they already eat. So basically, don't be an idiot and mess with a polar bear or jump in the water with alligators. By the way, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it if you would. I don't know if either one does anything for the algorithm, but you know, I do like hearing comments as well to see what people think of this show, because I'm kind of running on limited feedback because the views are so low and comments are just not there. There are none. So I just, you know, feedback is important to know if, you know, this show is even doing anything good, you know. But from my research so far, strangely enough, the watch series gets a whole lot more watch time. Therefore, getting the major YouTube thing that they want, which is satisfaction, comes from the watch series, which mixed feelings about. Watch is easier, honestly, a lot easier, obviously, because I'm not playing the game and struggling through it. But it also makes me feel a little bit cheap in a way, because I'm not the one physically sitting here playing the games and doing it, you know. But I do have a legitimate reason for the watch series anyway. My carpal tunnel has gotten so bad that it's like, that's why I quit Peaceful Pixels before, was because my carpal tunnel got so bad where I can't even use a mouse without my hands hurting and getting numb and sore, and you know, that nerve pain in both of my hands when I'm doing stuff like that. And I have really bad numbing issues, especially in my left hand, which you would obviously use for like the D-pad, you know. So that's why I give all the credit to the runners, and I'm focusing on the watch series because, well, one, it gets more watch time, like longer viewing, meaning that people enjoy it more, but also just because of my hands are getting screwed up again from trying to play through these games for long sessions, and you know, trying to get as much content out as possible for the algorithm, you know. And it's definitely a grind, but yeah, my hands are screwing up again where I'm having issues with that. I'm going to get surgery on both of them at some point, so I'm not trying to steal anyone's content or not trying to plagiarize or steal credit or, you know, abuse anyone's, you know, hard work. But, you know, I'm not claiming it as my own, and I'm hoping to help promote these people's channels. And, you know, a lot of speedrunners have world records and very small audiences, so I'm hoping that a video will blow up, and, you know, the people that are featured will also get some benefit from that, you know. And it's really a limitation of the fact that my carpal tunnel has come back. So I haven't really had anyone complain yet, but I just wanted to say that up front. It's really, the reason the play stuff has slowed down really is my carpal tunnel has made it where I can't play comfortably anymore. But I will try to still do some play stuff here and there. You know, I have like 20 different controllers, and you know, I've used, well, a lot of controllers, just trying to find the one that will make my hands not go numb and make them not get sore and hurt and all that stuff, you know. And I tried like dozens of different mice, and I finally got one to work halfway decent, which was the Razer Death Adder, and it cost like over $100, but it was light enough to make my hand, for the most part, not flare up too bad, but then it started doing it anyway. So I'm eventually going to have to get that surgery, but that's going to be even worse because then I won't be able to play, period, for a long time. So I just wanted to put that out there. That it's not me trying to be lazy. It's a legitimate medical issue that needs to be corrected whenever I can find a provider that even does the thing. Because that's the thing, like, where I live out in the middle of nowhere, like, even like in the capital city, you know, Richmond, I can't even really find a provider that does the ultrasound carpal tunnel release yet. Everybody wants to do that endoscopic crap that's, you know, makes it where you can't even use your hand for like a month. Versus the ultrasound sonic where you can use it immediately after, but you have to be careful for a while. So I'm definitely gonna get my left hand done first, because my left hand's the worst one by a lot. I don't even know if my insurance is going to pay for it. I hope they do, because it's not a cheap surgery. It's like $5,000 per hand, I think. Even though it only takes 15 minutes to do it. I just looked it up. It'll be a crapshoot on if it says that the medical insurance most of the time only pays for open and endoscopic, but not the ultrasound one, which is so ridiculous. They finally get a breakthrough in medicine where you can get a carpal tunnel fixed and you be back to work in 3 to 5 days instead of 3 to 5 months. And they were like, oh, it's experimental. No, it's not. They said it'll be $2,500 to $3,800 per hand if I don't have any insurance coverage for it. But I'm probably just going to call a clinic anyway and be like, hey, see if you can get this to work. If not, it's all right. And what can they do? Get mad at you for asking if your insurance will cover it? Problem is, it's really not even around here. Like, you know, I'd have to go to another state to get it done. Don't worry, I'm still here. I'm just, going on Gemini's advice saying that constant talking, obviously for fair use, but they say the constant talking can interrupt people's ability to fall asleep or relax. So I'm leaving room for the rain to do some of the heavy lifting in spots so I don't flood your senses and make you click off. But I also still of course have to commentate because that's part of the show, and also fair use. To use the footage, have to talk over it or do something with it. I don't want to just make videos where it's just rain sound on top of a video, because I would consider that theft. Not interested in doing that. Plus, it would just ruin the entire channel's identity, because, I'm just trying to experiment with, see what works. But according to Studio AI, the thing we get in YouTube Studio, it said that the watch series was a lot better idea because it made the commentary and the flow of the video more consistent, which is very important for relaxing content. So I don't mean to leave you hanging there. People think that I'm trying to be even lazier than I am doing this content, but I'm trying to go with the format that AI, made by Google, is telling me was what people want. And I can't really, I have to go based on that alone because there's no comments or any big audience, dictating anything yet. I'm not mistaken, this this particular world sorry, is the main boss, and this one is like that waterfall boss. I can't remember what his name is. We've already done this. We've already seen the spider in the barrel. The waterfall boss is I really don't like this stupid elephant. Yeah, it's cute, but it's annoying. I've heard people say they don't like Rambi. I'm like, really? Rambi? The rhino? Why wouldn't you like Rambi? Rambi's like one of the best, animal buddies in the entire, it might be the best animal buddy. He has like the charge attack, so he has the speed of the ostrich, and he has that horn that hits stuff, straight on. So I don't see how you couldn't like Rambi. I mean, the best one probably is Squitter the spider. I think his name is Squitter. Yeah, the spider. He's probably the best one, honestly. But Rambi would be second, and then Ungard is pretty good in the water. That's the swordfish. And yeah, the reptiles are all pretty bad though. The frog is bad, and he can jump high, but it's like that's all he can kind of do is jump. And also that snake from Donkey Kong Country 2 isn't very useful. He's kind of annoying. He can jump super high, but he's also annoying because that's all he can do is jump. Makes movement kind of awkward. You know, reptile power-ups all kind of suck, don't they? If you think about it, like Mario 3 had the frog suit, which sucked. Unless you were in the water. The ostrich is alright. What is this thing behind him? Are you running from it, or is it your helper? This, well, it looks like it's eating the other stuff. It ain't eating you. Well, I think it looks like he's changing color, so I'm guessing if you don't feed him, he'll get closer and take a bite out of you, is what it looks like. That's an interesting concept, having to feed this wild fish that wants to eat you, but he gets distracted eating other fish. I kind of like that. That's kind of funny. I think he likes to eat a lot, doesn't it? This seems like a not very good animal helper, though, because he's kind of random in the way he moves around and kind of janky, by the look of it at least. All right, no more fish. Dude, you would have never seen that. All right, here's the boss I was talking about, the one that's like this one's actually pretty hard. Because obviously if you get hit with that water thing, it'll knock you off into the pit, so. I think you hold Y to suck in some of the water from the waterfall, then you spit it in the thing's eye. They definitely have really creative bosses for this game, I will give them that. Just gonna skip ahead just a little bit because those are just basically cut scenes that weren't needed. No, I take it back. Some of this landscape is varied and it's actually very pretty. So I did have that nitpick before that this one didn't have enough diversity of landscape, but it kind of does. It just goes for more of a natural theme than like an industrial theme or like a pirate theme, you know? It kind of goes for like that industrial kind of thing. You know, mountains and sawmills and, you know, up having to go up trees and pipelines. And I never thought about it in that way. I thought about it kind of compared to the first two, which were a lot more industrial, not industrial, but nature based. What am I talking about? I don't know, man. A little early, but no, you get what I mean. Like the vibe is different. I still think the levels are kind of hit or miss. I'll put it this way. A bad Donkey Kong game is 10 billion times better than a Bubsy game. So it's not that the game is bad. It's just, it's not as good as two almost perfect games that are like some of the greatest of all time. It's like, you know, saying, oh, well, you know, I love the Beatles, but, you know, I don't love, I don't know, ELO, like Electric Lights Orchestra, as much. Doesn't mean ELO is bad. It just means they're not as good as the Beatles. That's the kind of thing with this. Like the first two games were basically the Beatles, and this is more like ELO. Still good, but it's just not up to par with the first two. And I think if you can drop that comparison to this one and the previous two, you'll probably like this one a lot more than I personally do. Because it does have a lot of innovation. It tries a lot of different things. You know, they really did not hold back at all on the level gimmicks and ideas that they wanted to try like this. The graphics are good, the controls are good, everything's good. It's just a misfit. It didn't really get bad until Donkey Kong 64, which I hear is pretty awful. But we'll probably watch that at a different time, because I've heard bad things about DK64, and I've been kind of, you know, hesitant to even look at a speed run of that game to see if it's true or not. I don't want to think that Donkey Kong 64 is as bad as people have said it is. But then again, I thought Kirby 64 would suck, and then I actually played it, and then I was like, you know what? I like it. I'm not... I was really hesitant on this because I thought the art style, at least in the first level or two, was bad, but, you know, and it kind of looked, you know, ugly, really. I kind of judged it a little too harshly. And, then I played it, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of like that. I kind of like Kirby 64. Not as much as Superstar, but I like it for what it is. I still got to watch the Disney ones too. That's another one I'm going to be doing probably later today, is to fall asleep while I watch Disney, Disney game speedruns kind of thing. Because there's a lot of Disney games that are super hard, and I want to do since I'm going to be doing like an entire company, I'm going to curate that to be more than just, you know, Aladdin 1, Aladdin Return of Jafar, whatever, like sequel games they would have had to it. Like, I'm going to pick out the most iconic game for each series and then watch that speed run kind of thing. Like, you know, Lion King had stuff after the Super Nintendo game, but it wasn't as known, but we'll see what happens on that one. But that's going to be an interesting mashup, is the while I watch Disney speedruns. Beauty and the Beast on Sega Genesis is definitely one. Because of how kind of miserable it looks, and it's good for a late night sort of thing. Of course, Lion King on Super Nintendo has to be there because of how difficult it is. Aladdin on Genesis, I'm thinking, is what I'm going to do, because I've played the Super Nintendo one already, and I want to have that variety on the channel where we, you know, it's a different one. We can watch both, really. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a fall asleep while I watch Aladdin speedruns, because there's probably a bunch of Aladdin games I've never heard of. We'll see what happens. I got Gemini giving me a list of games I should cover on that thing. So DuckTales on NES, Aladdin on on Sega Genesis, Kingdom Hearts. We're not going to cover that because that's too long. Goof Troop, Super Nintendo, Toy Story. Toy Story had some games, yeah. Thing is, Kingdom Hearts has a lot of storyline, and it's very long and it's very involved. And I love Kingdom Hearts as a concept. I never actually played the games, but I've watched Let's Plays of them, and I really do like the idea. I used to not like it. Actually, I used to think that Disney plus Final Fantasy was stupid, but now it just kind of works. The idea of just traversing these Disney worlds is really neat, but at the same time, it has all that story, and, you know, I don't know, man. If you want me to watch Kingdom Hearts playthroughs, that's fine. I'll do it. But it's just like, it's going to be a long video because I try to get through the entire game in each video, and those videos are long. Those games are long, boy. I categorize them kind of as RPGs, really, because that's something that doesn't work on the channel very well yet because of the story and the length, I think, or maybe the algorithm just doesn't like it. You know, the thing is, like, when I say a video didn't do well on the channel, it really just means YouTube didn't share it for some reason. Because I've never had an actual video go out that people actively hated and were like, oh, don't do this anymore. Never do this type of video again. It's always like YouTube just refuses to show it to anybody. And that's what I have to go on, is if it's not shown to anybody, nobody sees it. And if nobody sees it, then I don't know if it was good or bad. That's the problem. That's why you need that feedback. Even if it's I like this or I love this or I hate this, that's anything. Like, I'm basically in a vacuum right now trying to, you know, take a wild guess what the algorithm will push and show, and, you know, all that. So there's a snowman boss. I don't know what his name is, but I'm just going to call this Snowball Fight. Just the parrot that can't, the purple parrot, I'm pretty sure Legends of the Hidden Temple reference. I love it. I'm shocked they didn't make that into a game. Legit. That should have been a game. Legends of the Hidden Temple. Look it up. It's actually a really awesome show. It's kind of like, imagine Double Dare, but like Indiana Jones themed. That's what it kind of was. It was a lot more action, though. It was a lot more physical stuff than the quiz show thing. The quiz show was really more like an afterthought part of the thing to qualify them to go to the actual temple run segment. But what are you doing, man? Why are you yeah, looks like you were wasting some time there, but I don't know, maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know, just looked like they were screwing up over and over on a world record run. It was a little weird. But Legends of the Hidden Temple should have been a video game, but then again, they might have screwed it up like they did Nickelodeon Guts, which was an awful game. And I do plan on doing while I watch awful game speedruns kind of thing, you know. That's an interesting concept right there. Home Alone, huh? Yep, pulling right out of the Home Alone thing of lighting the rope on fire and the bandits trying to escape. And failing, usually. Now, I'm skipping ahead because this level's really boring. This level's really, really boring. I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here just like, please, are we just gonna sit here for like the next 20 minutes just watching you slowly climb a rope? I just can't do it. And now we have a level where you can't even see. I'm skipping this one too. Sorry. There we go. At least we can see in this level coming up. Yeah, I really don't think I'm going to play through this game as I fall asleep while I play episode. I just don't find this game appealing compared to the other two. It's not the game. The game's not bad. It's just not good enough for me to want to sit through, myself. I just feel like this game is kind of a slog. That's the best way I can put it. It's a genuine slog where like half the levels are really cool and then the other half the levels are really boring. And the boss fights are good pretty much consistently across. I mean, the backgrounds are pretty. I'll give it that. It's a very pretty game, but it's like the level design is just boring. And a lot of them. The mini games ain't much better. I think this is where the problem started with Donkey Kong, where they went from being every level's great and memorable to let's just spam everything and just make the game way too long and way too much going on and way too many gimmicks and, you know, way too many collectibles and, you know, stretching out the thing as thin as possible, which is what I hear is a major issue with Donkey Kong 64, actually. Which I hear that's a super slog. And we'll see when I watch the 3D Donkey Kong if we do watch that, because okay, here we go. There's a cool boss. I give it this. The little sea urchin boss is really cool. This lightning lookout, I hear that this is one of the hardest levels in the entire Super Nintendo history. I've never gotten to sit through it. Whenever suffered through it is the better way to put that. I've never got to suffer through this level. Because I hear the lightning's completely random and it's basically luck if you get through it in one piece. I don't know if there is complete randomness to this, but they got through it okay. But I did hear it was the hardest level in the Super Nintendo library, seriously. So that's World 7-3 is Lightning Lookout. Alright, poison. Is this Poison Pipeline? Pipeline Toot Nays? I'm guessing that's Poison Pipeline. Out Nay. This is French, so. No, because it says it'll be toxic, is how you say poison over there. Something that sounds like poison. So I'm guessing it means like a pipeline maze. You know, Banjo-Kazooie would be a pretty good one to watch. Didn't think about that. I've never actually sat through a full Banjo-Kazooie speedrun or even attempted one. Because I suck at Banjo-Kazooie. Well, I don't necessarily suck, but I kind of get stuck right around after Gobi's Valley and the monster place, which I'm not a big fan of the monster level at all. As much as I love horror movies, I'm not a fan of the Mad Monster Mansion. I should be, but I'm not. All right, so we're going into a boss fight with, well, a robot of some type. Is this the final boss, or? No, because this says there's a World 8. Well, this is a King Carol fight, but I'm guessing there is an extra world that you get for collecting everything like Lost World was. What I'm assuming. When they had King K. Rool, then it was Captain K. Rool. What is it now, Doctor? I do like the little animation of him just getting zapped and freaking out. That's kind of good. That's kind of funny. How many times does he need to be zapped to actually beat him? It's definitely not going on the rule of 3. I think the answer is a lot. So you save Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, but there's another world? Well, I can't read that because it's all French. Open the boomer. What does that mean? Abre the boomer means what I imagine means open the boomer. I'm about to say we're gonna see actual. This is just bonuses. Really? It's just a bunch of mini games? No? Okay. Nice little trick there. Yeah, I'm putting it right behind past the goal post. Classic. I'm sorry, I just want to see the final boss at this point. I'm just sitting here just like, we're just seeing rehashes of other levels. I want to see this final boss. I apologize if that upsets you for some reason, but seriously, this game is a friggin' slog. It's not an awful game. It's just boring as just boring as just dirt. I'd rather watch grass grow than play this all the way through legitimately. At least I can say I saw most of it. Even the final boss fight is a slog. Look at this. He's literally just sitting there waiting for the boss to actually be able to be hit. This game was lazier than me. I literally have to skip ahead in the boss fight to actually see something happen. I mean, look at this. Is that it? That's your grand ending? He just goes back to his ship controls and flies away, I guess. You just end with a bunch of Simon Says. That sounds about right. You know what? I'll say it. Donkey Kong Country 3 sucks, and it deserves its spot as one of the. It's just a bad game. I don't like it. It controls well. It looks good, but everything about it is just boring. It's a slog. The levels suck. The bosses are cool, but it's just not a good game overall. It's not even the controls or gameplay's fault. It's the level design is just incredibly boring. God, that was just a slog watching it. But I appreciate Laugh for suffering through the game so we could actually see it fully. Thank you